Hi friends, the purpose of making today's video is primarily with the intention that how do we assess or how do we come or how do we understand the use of astrology in the financial markets, right? Before that, I would like to give my background. I did my CF and MBA, right? I worked almost like for 20 years in the corporate sector, ranging from corporate strategy, treasury functions of some large corporates. Then I worked with private equity funds almost for like 10 years, 8 years. For 1.5 years, I worked in the long short fund, which is direct investments into the capital markets, right? I worked with distress funds. I worked with consulting firms, right? So practically in those 20 years, I worked in different functions of the market, right? But obviously, always related to the market, right? The purpose of making this video is actually, to be honest, is I don't like or I don't want people to lose money in the stock market, right? Intention is that. So, from intention purpose, my understanding, I just want to share whatever best to my abilities, right, in terms of how the markets are going or how should we actually approach markets and how can we use financial astrology for predicting the trends or making investments or sometime liquidating investments as well. So at overall net we kind of make money, right? Now let me come to the first part, which is the basic part, which every fund managers obviously hope to achieve, and they obviously work on that. One is the fundamental analysis, right, which is the standard stock market practice. Obviously, the interpretation differs person to person. Second, we talk about is the technical analysis. Technical analysis, my understanding, actually gives you the entry or the exit point. That is what my understanding of technical analysis is as of now, right? May change. I don't know how things shape up, but that's the mood. Because technical analysis actually show the mood or the moment of the market, right? Now, there is third component, which let's talk about, which is astrology, right? In astrology, also there are two components. I divide that within two components. First component is the horoscope analysis of a particular person, right? Why do I say that? In certain horoscopes, there are certain star composition which shows one whether he'll be successful in stock market, right? Second, if he's successful in stock market, what kind of investment time horizon he should look at, whether it is going to be short term trading kind of opportunity or whether he's be making money in the long term investments. Now comes the third component. Now third component is basically which is dependent upon sectors, right? So within a horoscope, we can always identify the person or this particular sector is good for the person to invest in, or certain sectors which technically he shouldn't kind of invest because that is something which is not compatible with his horoscope, right? So that's the in astrology. That is the first phase which I said. Second phase, which is the broad macro trends, right? Now, why I'm saying broad macro trends because my understanding of the financial markets at the moment is, or probably last 5, 7, 10 years, every market is interrelated. And if we want to say that one variable is impacting one market and it will not impact the other market, that's completely false. My understanding, something happens in one part of the world that impacts the global markets because that impacts the US market. Ultimately, all markets, whatever said and done, US market is the mother market of all the markets, whether we are talking about stocks, whether we are talking about metals, whether we are talking about oil, any market, technically. Because that is the most traded and most acceptable and transparent market, technically. Right? Now, first, I will take it step by step, right? Because if we are going in for short-term astrological predictions, right, the probability of error, my understanding, is very high. Reason because star composition, one obviously it does not change every minute, right? It takes some time to change to have a sustainable trend, right? We will find. I'm not saying that they are wrong or I'm right, but my understanding, if somebody is forecasting the market will move within this period to this period, right? Maybe like for 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes straight, right? Surely he can be accurate a lot of times, and I understand 60% of the time, if you're accurate in market, you net make money, right? However, uh, the probability of success is like 60-70% if he's a good astrologer. And if it is not a good astrologer, I personally feel you can make big losses into the market, right? So my understanding, we should always go in for a bit of long-term trends. Long-term trends can range from 15 days to say maybe 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, possible, right? But we should always look at the larger trends, right? Now, first I'll come to the fundamental analysis. Fundamental analysis, I'm just giving you a gist based on my experience, right? My understanding, the foremost thing we should look at is the credibility of the promoter, right? Credibility of promoter is not looked at if you want to kind of judge a person, right? Obviously, they're all senior guys in the sense that they have some market reputation ultimately. A lot of media coverage, XYZ, everything is there, right? So try and search for some bit of background of the person, right? And never make an opinion which is based on 1 year or 2 year or 3 year kind of his, what do you say, in the sense that 3 year performance in terms of either franchise or either company or anything, right? My understanding, we should always look at a slightly longer term. We should see how the person has evolved over a period of time, right? Because that helps you understand the kind of patience the person has, right? Because that gives a broader macro curve to the promoter. And that, my understanding, in the listed entities, that is one of the most important thing to have, right? Because that is the first thing we should always look at. And if there's some dots, and unless you are an opportunist, right? Opportunist in the sense where you're looking at short-term gains, right? I don't think long-term investment we should always we should never my understanding. That's all. Like that's my personal experience. I will never go for investment into those kind of promoters, to be honest. If it is for a long-term, opportunist, short-term, great, no issues to me. Now, second thing which we should look at is because that is one thing which practically a lot of people actually miss. Because I give a lot of importance to industry, right? Now, first priority for me is promoter and second priority for me is industry, right? As long as these two calls are okay, right? You have already taken care of 70, 80, 90% of the risk component in the market, right? If it goes beyond, then I'll say, obviously there are chances because it's stock market investment ultimately, because if you look at it from that perspective, it's like even if I start a business or somebody else starts a business, right? There is obviously the chances of failure, right? That's true. But as long as these two things are okay, I personally feel at least 70, 80% of the time you'll not lose money, right? We may not make substantial money because the call can go wrong, but broadly we should make money, right? These are two components which I can say, and there's a lot of other stuff which is say EPS and kind of stuff and stuff. The financial parameters, that is one analysis which we can always do, right? Which anyway we do, right? In our investment portfolio, but that is something which is public domain, available everywhere, right? So we can always look at those parameters as well. Now coming to the technical analysis, right? Technical analysis, the foremost thing which is important for me is technically to ascertain the entry and the exit point. Right? That is what, because if say I identified 3 companies based on my fundamental analysis, and then we want to decide the entry time, right? When do we want to enter or when do we want to buy the stock? So I will always believe on the technical analysis in terms of entry and exit points, right? Because when do we need to enter the stock and when do we want to exit the stock, right? So that's part and parcel of the technical analysis. That is what my understanding is, right? Now let's come to the astrology side of it. In astrology, the foremost thing which I explained was primarily the individual's horoscope. Right? Individual's horoscopes is important, and generally, if somebody has to analyze, right, broadly, I can say, first thing which comes to my mind is the person. If I see an horoscope, somebody can show the horoscope. Somebody doesn't have the financial resources, or to be honest, they don't have the competent guy that way. What I will say is the industry in which you are working, might generally in 70-80% of the cases, that should be an investment area surely. Reason, because if you're working in an industry for last 20 years or 15 years, right, for 60-70% of the people, that area is something which will always be shown by the horoscope as an investment area as well. Reason, because working in that industry or that particular area is giving you money, right? Whether in terms of job, whether in terms of business. So that one area, normally we can assume that this is the right area to investment in terms of the sector. Now, second combination is when we say whether the person will make short-term good horoscope is good for short-term money or for a long-term investment, right? My understanding in long-term, you always make good money and the sustainable wealth. Personally speaking, long-term, I'll always say is a wealth creation, right? When a person actually wants to create a wealth, long-term investment is the best strategy, and probably that is the only strategy. Exceptional cases are there, like maybe 1 or 2% horoscope, where they can create wealth even with the short-term trading as well, possible. But broadly, wealth creation is done only by the long-term investment, right? Short-term can create, but for exceptional people, right? Short-term on the other side is primarily money making, right? Which is like a short-term money. So there are certain stars who actually represent the long-term investment, and there are certain stars who always represent the short-term investment. The long-term investment generally is shown by two planets. One, Saturn. Second planet is Jupiter, which is very important. And third planet, to get a renowned investment, renowned returns. Renowned returns is in the sense that if we are looking at, suppose we invest in a particular company and we make 10 times, 12 times, 15 times return into that investment, or the quantum of the investment has to be large enough for the amount of money which is making is large enough. It can be dependent upon person to person, right? For certain people, 10 CR may be a large one. For certain people, 10 lakhs can be a large one, right? So it is again dependent upon person, but anything which is large based upon his social economic factors, right, is something which will be represented by Sun. So to make large money corresponding to his financial status, right, Sun has to be very well placed. And normally, what I have seen is Sun is normally placed in the 5th or the 11th house, right? That is something which gives a first indication that person is making good money through investments or relationships, or I'll say because 5th and 11th house is basically your relationship, social circle, and X, right? And stock market ultimately you will understand, because it's not only about making money through research, because that is the fundamental, right? But it is again building up your relationships, talking to people, reading books, X, Y, Z, right? Because that is something which gives you knowledge about industry. That is something which gives you knowledge about the companies. And the 5th house is the house of speculation. That is what normal astrology is, right? So the relationship of Sun with these two houses does depict that person can make substantial money. Whether it's going to be short term, long term is dependent upon other factors. Now come to the other factor, which is Sun, Saturn, and Jupiter, because they give sustainable money. But Jupiter's sustainable money, the money which is represented by Jupiter, is much more in terms of knowledge rather than hard cash. Okay, so it is like if somebody is an equity research analyst, right? I will say his Jupiter has to be good, right? And his Saturn has to be good. But whether it will give him hard cash, that is something which the other planets will also show, right? Now, if we are looking at the trading positions, for trading normally, Venus, Mercury has to be well placed, right? And even Moon, person, right? Now, when do they give money and when do they kind of show a neglect of money? I'll tell you 2 or 3 combinations which I have seen in a lot of horoscopes, right? The money-giving planets in a horoscope is Venus, Mercury, Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, Sun. Okay. So whenever there is combination of these planets with, say, Jupiter or Saturn, right, they tend to give money in the long-term way. Okay. Now, when they are not supporting Jupiter and Jupiter and Saturn, so normally they'll give independent returns. Independent returns, which is primarily with the perspective of trading, right? So one important component in this is nakshatra, right? Which I'll do another video on this, right? Specifically on this particular part, which is horoscope analysis from a stock market perspective, right? But broadly, we should understand there are 2 groups of planets. One, which is money-giving planets, and there are certain planets who are giving knowledge, right? Now, how do I classify? Sun, Jupiter, I classify more in terms of knowledge. However, they can turn into money-giving planets as well if they are associated with these other group of planets, which is Mercury, Venus, Moon, and Saturn. Okay, that is the broad parameters. Rahu and Ketu has a role which is amplification, because Rahu is obsession, amplification, and because Rahu and Ketu basically is the same person, except one is the head, second is the body, right? So Rahu amplifies anything. So Rahu is like obsession. A lot of times the person doesn't have the base, but he actually obsessed for something. So even addictive stock market is something which is represented by Rahu, right? If Rahu is a strong component, Rahu is playing a strong component in the overall horoscope, you'll assume people actually get into speculation, right? Because Rahu is obsession, which is without basis, so that prompts people to get into speculation. On the other side, if you are looking at say Ketu, then Ketu is more research oriented, right? So Ketu, you can see a lot of people who are addictive in some sort of the maybe substance addictive, any kind of addiction, right? Maybe research is one addiction, I'd say internet is another addiction. Any kind of addiction, these are the people who are the Ketu, but they have a solid base, right? So Ketu normally gives returns which is large in quantum. But these two planets always need support of the other 5, 6, 7 planets. Independently, they cannot give you returns which are sustainable, right? So that is one. Now, if so, we spoke about the individual charts, right? We spoke about fundamental analysis. We have spoken about technical analysis, right? Now let's come to the other component, which is the macro trends based on astrology. Right? Now, astrology per se, if I'll say, right, astrology is also a science, right? But astrology is a guidance, which is not a pure science. I'll not say astrology is absolutely pure science, because my understanding, astrology, I've been an astrologer for almost like 25 years, right? Practically, it was an hobby, and for last in the lockdown period, right, that is the time I actually started thinking about the direction in which I'm going, right? And that is where I thought about doing financial astrology, to be honest, person. So my understanding in terms of astrology we should always assume as a guidance, right? Our, because if we start using it as a decision maker, I think we are absolutely doing a wrong thing to the astrology. We should never do. We should never take it as a granted one, right? Astrology is a broad guidance, and the way the normal circumstances or events happen in the world, right? They are all same way are represented by astrology to an extent as well. If we talk about say Gyan theory, right? Gyan again, I'll say is a lot dependent upon, I'll not say astrology purely, but yeah, it is dependent upon astrology to an extent, right? Because Gyan, the basic principle is that all events repeat itself, right? Which is again, because astrology comes into picture. Now, the second component we spoke about in between was the global linkages of the stock market, right? So if somebody comes with a chart that how the Indian stock market is going to work, right? And if somebody looks at the chart of India and then say this is the way the stock market will work, it's absolutely wrong, because that's not going to give you, that will never give you results on a long-term basis. The reason, because all financial markets are interrelated. Tomorrow it can't happen that US market continuously is going 20% down for last 6 months and Indian market on the other side is 30% plus. Cannot happen. The only thing is we can say that if India has a very strong chart, we'll say 20% US market is going down, it's gone down by 20%, Indian market may outperform. Or when the downward trend stops, then Indian market probably will outperform the other markets. That is the broad assumption we can make. So to make an assumption on the financial markets, the use of astrology into the financial markets, the most important thing which we need to look is the major variables, right? They're like 165 countries technically, I'll say, although I'll not say decision makers, but yeah, whose chart does impact substantially to the stock market, right? On the other side, we have oil market, other side we have gold market, because metals per se, right? So to say how the financial markets will work, and to be honest, one thing which is very, we should always assume, right? If we are looking at say recession, or if we are looking at some sort of debacle or some sort of euphoria in terms of the positive side, right? All markets work in the same direction, right? In terms of indications, right? It may give you the proportion may be different, but something like gold, if gold is coming down, normally we will assume, right? Normally, that risk aversion is taking place in the global market. So equity market should logically go up, right? Same way is in terms of property market as well. So all markets somewhere are interrelated globally. Now to judge whether these events are going to be like catastrophic events or they're going to be small events, right? It's not only about one particular country or one particular financial market. We need to look at countries who are actually creating those issues, right? So probably the current corona, right? If we say just the horoscope of US and we say this is the way US equity markets are going to work without looking at the horoscope of say China or technically for that matter Europe or maybe the Asian countries, the large Asian countries, maybe India and Pakistan. I'll not say Pakistan because it's not something which is big, but in terms of say India, which is actually contributing a lot to the GDP, world GDP. So without looking at their horoscope, if we say that things are going to be like in a particular direction, that's absolutely not correct. We should look at multiple factors, and that is why I say for short term, if you say astrology can predict stock market predictions, surely can predict. I don't deny that, but the probability of success is very less. But if you're looking at say long-term trends, say 15 days, 6 months, 1 year, right? That's a possibility. So in those, surely the certainty of predictions is high, right? Now in astrology, for judging macro events, right? I'll give you one or two examples. The larger planets, right? Which is who takes a lot of time in transiting from one house to another house, or transiting from one nakshatra to another nakshatra, right? Which is Saturn, Rahu, Ketu, Jupiter. In addition, we have outer planets, which is Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, right? I'll say one of the planets which is responsible or who can actually create a lot of issues because that planets actually represent generations is Pluto, right? So when we are looking at multi-year or generational shifts in the overall economic balance or maybe the geopolitical balance, Pluto becomes very important, right? Combination of Pluto with other planets, which is say Saturn, because Pluto transits almost like it's a generational planet, right? So 12, 13, 14 years is the normal time period. Saturn on the other side is 2.5 year transit period. Jupiter is 13 months. Jupiter is 12 months. Rahu and Ketu is 18 months. Rahu, I guess, is 13 months. I'm not too sure. So my understanding, whenever we are looking at large scale catastrophic events, right, the role of Pluto becomes extremely important. And does catastrophic events happen every day? No, they don't happen every day, right? So my understanding to judge the accuracy on a long-term basis, the macro trends which are going to be impacting the financial markets, right? We should one look at multiple inputs in the sense, say horoscope of US, horoscope of China, horoscope of India, Europe, the main countries in Europe, say look at France, Spain, UK, Germany, the 4-5 major countries, and that's the time we reach to a certain amount of conclusion. That all the horoscopes are particularly showing a particular trend. So ultimately, these are the things which are going to impact the markets. So that is the way we analyze the macro events, right? Now, second is the micro events. Micro events in the sense, I'll say one, obviously the trading ones, which I said I don't rely much on that, right? So I will not talk about that. But there's another trend which comes up, right? Which are country-specific trends. Something like, I'll give you one example. India, whenever Ketu transits the 7th house of India, right? 7th house of India in the sense that we construct the horoscope of India. And whenever Ketu transits, because Indian horoscope is Taurus ascendant horoscope and Scorpio is in the 7th house, right? So whenever Ketu transits the 7th house of the Indian horoscope, right, there's always something major which happens in India. Major happens in India in the sense that there's always an industry which evolves during this period. So we have seen the history, we have reached to the conclusion, right? So there can be some sector specific calls because if it is the evolution of a particular sector, right, this practically means that the amount of money which you will make with patience, right, and the right strategy is going to be substantially high. It can go into multiples. The evolution was the IT sector, right? Second was the pharma sector in India, 2002, 2003, we are talking about pharma sector. If we go 18 years backwards, it was 90, 85, 86 was IT boom because the IT was in a nascent stage, it actually picked up. From that perspective, if I say 2020, there is supposed to be another industry which will come up in India. And my understanding, in all probability, we have identified the industry. It's going to be that industry, and this will surely gives a lot of multi-bagger stocks in India. Multi-bagger in the sense where I'm talking about 15, 20 times returns, right? To the price. I'm not talking about 15, 20%, right? I'm talking about 15, 20 times returns. So that is another thing which we should look at, right? Now, how should we use these parameters, right? So first I'll say, because I'm not a pure astrologer, I'm not a pure, obviously fund management is a part of me. So I'll say the first thing which we should look at is, we should look at the fundamental analysis of the company, right? Whether we like a particular stock. Second thing which we should look at is the entry point, when we should enter as per the technical analysis. And in addition, we should look at the component. Is there any major astrological combinations which are happening? Because technical will give us feel in terms of the market momentum, how the movement is happening in terms of emotions or the momentum of the market. And astrology can always support those things, right? As to how astrology can support is basically the macroeconomic, the star position, and how the transits are going. From that perspective, what will happen is that if we say first is okay, so we take the first one, which is fundamental, company is good. We say technically this is the momentum and this is the entry point or the exit point, which looks to us, right? Then we reach to the astrology. Now we say astrology also becomes a confirmatory test, right? So we say as per the astrology also things are looking good for next 1 year, so let's take a call, right? Then we enter into the script. But if we say these two are okay, but astrologically things are not looking good, which technically does happen, and this has happened with me as well, right? So not an issue. So in that particular case, what we do is, as long as the astrology is showing, the technical analysis is not showing, be invested in the market. But probably, if you're not sure, then probably has the positions, right? So we has the position during this particular period, and once the technical analysis starts showing those results, right, then we go short. Short in the sense, or we exit out from the market, right? Either way. That's the philosophy which I personally feel should be followed, right? In addition, the personal horoscope. Personal horoscope is extremely important, because normally what will happen is, if there's an opportunity as well, everything, all three things are good, right? And there's an opportunity, right? So normally if the personal horoscope is not supporting, so there'll be some circumstances which will build up in the person's life, right? So probably he'll not have money, or he may not be able to buy, or he may not be able to sell X, Y, Z. There can be a lot of reasons, right? That is the way we should be moving into it, right? Now, just want to give, my intention is just to give you the, because honestly, my intention is people should not lose money in the market, right? Certain people can say, obviously, one is losing, the other is gaining, right? Because it's the same thing. 50% people will lose and 50% people will not lose, right? They'll gain the money. My understanding, as long as the Sensex is going up, right? Nobody fucking loses money. Reason? Because the quantum of gains is increasing. The quantum, the size of the investment is increasing, right? So if the size of investment or the portfolio, suppose the index is at 1,000, currently maybe NSE was at 1,000, right? Now it's at 10,000. So obviously there's wealth creation in the system, which is 9 times the, 10 times the original when the people actually entered. So that money is getting distributed somewhere. So technically it's not a zero-sum game, as long as there is growth in the index, right? So from that perspective, everybody can be happy as well. The distribution is something which we need to currently look at. Now, I just want to give you a brief about the predictions we made, right? First was 23rd March, which obviously I didn't predict. I didn't predict in the sense that I wasn't too involved into financial astrology at that time. The next one which we made was the metal boom. We asked all our clients to plus metals from 23rd of May 2020. And we said till 30th of November, markets are not going anywhere. We said 31st of August, markets are not going anywhere, because we expected the market to correct around 23rd of September, plus minus 1 week, right? But we said on a precautionary side, because it's always better you have made money, then start booking the profits, because there can be some large clients who takes time to exit out the situations, right? Market absolutely corrected on 23rd September. We said around 8 to 10%. US market corrected around 11%. Indian market around 9%, right? It was a very sharp correction for 2-3 days, but it did. Then we said go long, because in the month of October, we were expecting there are not going to be major changes, right? Except later part, which I'll give you, right? And then we said 16, 17 onwards, right? 15, 16. You can find all the links on the YouTube channel because they are all recorded videos, so that's not an issue. We said the markets will correct, right? And now I'm giving another prediction, 28th of October. Technically, markets will get into oversold zone, and 28th onwards, so market will again give a trading bounce, right? It's not going to be investment bounce, it's going to be a trading bounce. The market predictions after that, we have already kind of put that on YouTube channel as well, right? We can see the video, but there is some hard times which are expected for the market. I'm giving you the contact details below, right? If somebody wants to get in touch, please get in touch. No issues to me, right? Because obviously my intention is people should not lose money. Because there's enough indicator, everybody can make a good amount of money. That's not an issue. Thanks a lot. And if you like, because normally what's going to happen is I'm going to start putting up my videos on YouTube channel. So if you like it and you want to continue in the sense that if you want another kind of video, technically, please subscribe so that automatically keep getting the notifications. Thanks a lot. Um, it was my pleasure talking to you guys again. Thanks a lot.